Why don't we start talking Utah Jazz in this trade rumor that has Robert Covington coming to the Jazz in exchange for Joe Ingles? Not happening. Um, that trade was never discussed, and I don't know where this rumor started. I got a very strong denial of that deal, that there was ever a discussion of Robert Covington straight up for Joe Ingles.
Never.
Never, because the thing that really stands out to you about that deal is it makes absolutely no sense. Both of them are in expiring contracts. Both of them are declining. Robert Covington does not make you a better defensive team. There is no upside for either the Utah Jazz or the Portland Trailblazers. And frankly, if we're being honest, Robert Covington stepping in for Joe Ingles, Jake, is a downgrade for the Utah Jazz. This trade never made sense from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to say it. And I think, a lot of times in the NBA we start getting into hypotheticals and wow, what would this look like and what would that look like? And then you get your random Covington for Jingle and Joe, as Bowler Jack would like to say. You get random trade things like that, and it's like, dude, this doesn't even make any sense. Why would either team want to do that? And so I just think that we're not quite in silly season yet in the NBA.
Oh, we're
but
close.
We're close. And I think that, we're starting to see, the Ben Simmons thing heat up. We're starting to see some other portions heat up. But I think for the Jazz, they've got the Suns again. They obviously lost the other night. But I think that it feels like, in a way, the Jazz have kind of turned the corner a little bit emotionally as far as like where the locker room is at and how this team is feeling. I think when you go all the way back to the Pistons loss on the road when everyone was healthy, and it felt like that loss kind of launched them into like this negativity string for about 10 days. And now that Don's in concussion protocol and Rudy's got the calf strain and, there's some things happening, I think a lot of people are just kind of saying, okay, well, the regular season doesn't matter, and okay, we're 2 games, or I think it's actually technically 3 games out of the 5th seed now. They're the 4th seed. They're 3 games away from being the 5th seed if they keep losing. I don't think people are going to start panicking until they're like the 5th or 6th seed officially. So we'll see. I do think that this game coming up for the Suns is super important on a number of levels. Number one, I think, it'd be nice to win this game just to feel good about yourself, and specifically to feel good about the talent on the back end of the bench. The Suns are not going to be playing most of their guys again. Book and CP are going to play, but you're not going to have, the Aytons and the Kaminskis and, a bunch of other guys. So I think you have a shot to win this game, but I think overall right now you're going to hear a lot of, hey, the Jazz are involved in this or they're involved in that, or, hey, are they the third team here or there? And that you should not be surprised by that, because that's where their opportunities lie. So I'd love to see them get involved as a third team on the Ben Simmons situation, not to acquire Ben Simmons, but to acquire somebody. I would love to see that, but, we'll see what happens. Who knows if they're actually going to move Ben Simmons this season.
Well, what I would say is I'd love to see the Jazz involved in a Ben Simmons deal. I wouldn't mind Ben Simmons being on the Utah Jazz, but I think at this point that's highly unlikely. From what I understand and what I was told last night, the Jazz were involved in a trade that involved Robert Covington, but that deal very simply was the Jazz as a third team involved in Portland ending up with Ben Simmons, the Blazers ending up with Damian Lillard, and picks and players exchanging between the 3 teams.
So Portland ending up with Ben Simmons, the 76ers ending up with Damian Lillard.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is that not what I said?
No, that's not what you said.
Did I get that backwards?
You said no. You just said the Blazers are going to get everybody. Blazers are getting Dame. They're getting Ben Simmons.
Well, let me and I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I get this right, because I think it's important. But there's no doubt in my mind that as much as we sit here and talk about trades and we all want to fantasize about what's going on, that the Jazz are not trying to get Robert Covington straight up.
Yeah.
And that was part of a much larger deal that had Damian Lillard and, as I got it last night, Damian Lillard and Nurkic with Ingles to Philadelphia, Powell and a 2nd-round pick to Utah, and a buyout of Covington.
See, I like that. Norman Powell, that's a good pickup.
That
if
makes
you're
a lot
third
of sense.
team, that's a good pickup. But again, the timing of this deal was, right, was kind of back a little bit. This is in the
I
past.
want to say that it was 6 weeks ago when Damian Lillard hadn't decided to have surgery yet. And once Damian Lillard decided to have surgery and he essentially is out for the season, that kind of ends Philadelphia's interest or involvement in that deal because they've been very straight up in saying that if we're going to trade Ben Simmons, if we're going to move him, we need a star player that can contribute now. Joel Embiid is having the season of his career. They're trying not to waste that.
Yeah.
But again, I just go back to Philadelphia and everything that I've heard. And frankly, everything that's being reported is that the Philadelphia 76ers are no closer today to trading Ben Simmons than they've ever been. And they are asking for a king's ransom that nobody is willing to pay.
Yeah.
And what is really surprising to me is that guys like Jeremy Grant are not being moved right now. He is a guy that has a lot of value around the league, but it seems like, and I say again, it seems like everybody's waiting for that first big trade chip to fall.
Yeah.
And that has not happened yet, whether that's Jeremy Grant or whether that's Ben Simmons or who else you want to point to. I don't know that we see a superstar dealt at the deadline. I think that the Lakers and Rockets, have infrastructure to make a trade, but I think trading Russell Westbrook's contract is next to impossible. That is a very difficult deal to move.
Yeah.
Because, the proposed deal is essentially John Wall for Russell Westbrook, two guys that are not contributing at the level that was expected for their franchises. John Wall hasn't played a game this year. He essentially is acting as a player coach at this point. And Russell Westbrook's just now. Last night, I thought he played really well in Brooklyn. To be honest with you, I thought that was one of his better performances.
Agreed.
Shooting wise, attacking the basket, defensively, I think he's gotten a lot more intelligent since he got benched. But they would like to move Russell Westbrook to give themselves some flexibility to compete. Are they going to be able to do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is the Jazz are not trading Joe Ingles to Portland straight up for Robert Covington.
Yeah. Well, and I think, with what's going on in the NBA right now, I think, going back to the Jeremy Grant thing, I think the other thing that's not helping Jeremy Grant's case, if you will, as far as being traded, is he doesn't want to go to a team like the Lakers and play second fiddle to AD and LeBron. Jeremy Grant is somebody who wants to go to a team and he wants to be the centerpiece. And I respect that. I understand why you would feel that way and why you would want that. But at the same time, when we look around the league and we're like, hey, why have we not gotten any kind of real tangible moves yet? Well, I think it's a combination of, people are waiting for Ben Simmons, but I think more to the point, people are being very stubborn about what they want in the trade market. Meaning, if look at the 76ers, what you were just saying. Hey, we're not going to trade Ben Simmons unless you get us a equal or better player than Ben Simmons in return. I look at Jeremy Grant. Hey, I'm not going to accept a trade to a team where I'm going to play second fiddle, which automatically eliminates a ton of their opportunities to trade him, if you think about it, because they wanted to do business with the Lakers. Jeremy Grant claims that the Bulls are on his list, but at the same time, that the culture there, does he fit in there? Is that actually a good fit for him? So I think you have a lot of these guys who are saying, yeah, sure, trade me, but I have this laundry list of requirements. And I feel like, on Get Up this morning, of course, who are they talking about? Aaron Rodgers. It reminds me of the whole Aaron Rodgers situation again, right? That Aaron Rodgers only wanted to go to a title contender and he wanted all this stuff. And it just seems like players understand now more than ever that they kind of control their fate. So I don't know. I just think that the Ben Simmons thing is sort of the last, piece that's holding everybody up. Because I feel like once that happens, you're going to get this domino effect. The Sixers are going to do their deal potentially with the Kings maybe or another team. Once that happens, that signals a sign to everybody else. So it's just like anything else in the world. But I just hope that, for Ben Simmons' sake, love him or hate him, right now he's just burning his career in time.
And I think guys like Ben Simmons are interesting, but I think it's going to be more like teams like the Boston Celtics who want to rework that roster. And I think you're going to see that. I think the Celtics, and I know, again, I was told yesterday that the Celtics and Jazz have a really open line of communication. They are two of the most active teams trying to make deals to improve their situation.
Yeah.
But what you're learning and what I consistently heard about the Jazz are that they just don't have any leverage. They don't have very much to offer to anybody to make a deal. So when you're looking at what the Jazz are able to do, the Jazz, I think, realize that they need to start the trade market by being in a third team on a big trade. That's going to get you second round picks. They don't have many picks to trade. They have a trade exception that they can use, but I mean, they really don't have any assets that a lot of other teams are after. So you really are over a barrel when you're trying to make a deal if you're the Utah Jazz. So what that looks like is the situation we talked about. You know, and if you want to be more practical about it, look at Boston trying to make a deal. And I know there's a lot of Celtics fans talking about whether or not they would trade Jaylen Brown. I'm telling you right now, there is a belief around the NBA that Jaylen Brown's available if you want him. Jason Tatum is not available. Jaylen Brown's available. Marcus Smart certainly is available. And again, I will say I would love Marcus Smart on the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
It's simply a matter of what comes back in return, right? Okay, well, if you're the Boston Celtics, you're probably not making a 1-for-1 deal for Marcus Smart with the Jazz.
Yeah.
Because what do you really get from that? You're not getting something that's going to make you instantly a better team. You're not getting a younger, better player, which I think is probably what they're after.
Yeah.
Does Mike Conley really appeal to you? Well, I don't know that the Jazz want to trade Mike Conley because I think the Jazz want to be one of the top 7 teams in the Western Conference. And their feeling is that if they make the playoffs, that's a success right now because this team, frankly, is just not performing at a very high level.
Yeah, I mean they're struggling. There's no doubt about it. And I think, you know, whether you look at the injuries or you look at you know, COVID protocol or whatever the case may be. And again, you know, we said this earlier in the season when the Jazz were hot and they were winning all these games and everything that eventually it would come back around. And I think, you know, the only reason we know that is because it happens to every single team. This isn't unique to the Utah Jazz. I mean, any of the best teams in the league have gone through that situation where, okay, COVID's ravaging our team. That means we got to play more bench players, and then that means the injuries are going to stack up on those bench players. And now we're going to have to sign more 10-day contracts like Daniel House Jr., you know, and that's just a process that's playing out. So, yeah, would making the playoffs be a success right now? Absolutely, I think it would be a success. But I think, again, like we always get back to with the Don situation and in the bigger picture, you know, Don and players like Don are not going to sit around for seasons on end and go through this, you know, and so I think the right way to put it is, yeah, he's going to go through this for a season, maybe 2 if he's patient. But I agree with the logic of this front office needs to, you know, after the season, no matter what happens, needs to sit down with Don and say, look, man, this is the plan. This is what we're going to try and do to put a ring on your finger. And what do you think of that? So.
You know, I think you hear a lot of teams wanting to do things, but wanting to do something has never gotten anything done. And I think, again, I would just caution Jazz fans. I think the next 8 months are going to be very difficult. I think that you're going to see some guys that you really are attached to going in different directions.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a likelihood that when we get to training camp next fall, that this roster is going to look remarkably different. And I think you have to see a broader picture. Speaking of Philly, is it a trust the process situation? I think.
I guess.
I think so. Well, because you just don't have. Name me a situation or a team in recent NBA history who's done this. There's only one I can think of, and it's the LA Lakers. And frankly, frankly, I think the Lakers did it by trading most of their young assets for a superstar player in Anthony Davis. And what happened? They won a championship.
Yeah.
Well, he's also missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
He finally returned last night in Brooklyn and played pretty damn well, by the way. But, I mean, when you look at that kind of deal, that's the deal the Jazz need. They just don't have young players.
Yeah.
They need a transformative 2-3 deals. I mean, this is probably 3 trades.
Yeah.
To remake this roster and grow a younger base. The other question is, how many now of the bottom 7 players on this roster, how many are you married to? I mean, I don't know that there is anybody on this roster outside of Don that I'm absolutely attached to. I mean, Jared Butler, I think Jared Butler's going to be an NBA player. I don't have any doubt about that. But he's got a long way to go. Defensively, Jared Butler is kind of a mess right now. And I think that's why he's not playing. I mean, it's obviously he can shoot, he can play. He can play offensively.
Yeah.
The decision making is something that happens on the offensive end anyway. The decision making happens with reps and minutes. You get better in the NBA by playing minutes on offense. On defense, it's going to be a learned skill for him because it just does not seem like he has great defensive instincts, which is why I think he's not playing. Somebody like an Eric Paschall plays because he brings you tremendous energy, and he's going to battle and fight. And he's not the easiest guy to deal with on either end, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why Quinn's not playing him, but what I will say about Eric Paschall is he's not transformative. He's not a guy you must have on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that a team like Golden State, I'm surprised, let go. Because he's that guy that's got he's got that booty luggage and he's got shoulders, and he's that guy that, in game 5 when you have 2 minutes left in the quarter, you bring him in and he bangs and he gets you that extra rebound or that extra.
Drop that mother.
Yeah, he brings you that extra cleanup basket.
Yep.
So I'm a little surprised they offloaded him, but the Jazz are not using him to his highest best use, right? But other than that, is Trent Forrest really somebody that you're like, and I know a lot of Jazz fans think he's the greatest thing since sliced rookies, but
right.
Is Trent Forrest really somebody that you're going to get emotionally involved with? I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think what's happening now, it more than, the Jazz getting married to anybody on the roster, however you want to word that. Like, I think more than that, I think what they're trying to do is build trade value. Like, if I'm Danny Ainge, that's my message to Quinn Snyder, assuming that Quinn's going to be here next year. Like, hey, we need to build trade value. We need to show that Jared Butler can be traded to another team, much the same way a Talon Horton Tucker can. We need to try and get as close to that as we possibly can. I'm not saying that Jared Butler is anywhere near what Talon Horton Tucker has provided and shown as a Laker, but my point is when you look at that dynamic, the Lakers are able to offer Talon Horton Tucker as a trade chip in those conversations and not have it be laughed at. And so I look at the Jared Butlers, I look at the Elijah Hugheses, I look at, the Azabukis, these young guys who some of them are NBA players, some of them are not, but none of them are being developed. And that's the problem. And I think, minutes, sure, but I think, hey, we got to teach Azubuike how to do some things. We got to teach Jared Butler how to be better defensively.
I'm sorry, Udoka Azubuike's not an NBA center.
But either way, even if he is or if he isn't, right? My point just is that they have this little pool of talent, like 3-4 guys on the back end of their roster that are begging to be developed and turned into assets because you don't have draft capital. So to me, when I look at the roster, I'm like, dude, like that's where you have to go to make things happen.
And see, if I'm the Jazz, I'm calling somebody like the Knicks. If I'm the Jazz, I'm calling teams that are close and need polished professionals because that's what you have. I'm trying to get younger and more athletic on the wings.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. I need somebody, and like a guy like a Julius Randle's never going to happen.
Right.
But I need a Julius Randle skill set. I need somebody that can shoot the three, but is also able to get to the basket, can finish at the rim. Like, I need a Bojan Bogdanovic that's got more athletic ability.
Yeah.
Who's younger, who's durable. That's what this team is severely lacking.
Yeah.
Wing defenders who can give you a couple things on offense. Because you don't offense on this team. With Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, offensively you should be fine with just those three.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can score at the rim, you can shoot the three. Rudy's going to help you with offensive rebounds and second chance points. But right now, the way this team is constructed, Rudy Gobert is your most important player.
Yeah.
Unequivocally, he's your most important player.
And it sounds kind of weird to say that, doesn't it?
Yeah, because
he's weird.
It's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And that direction is what this team has to change. And you change that one of two ways. You trade Rudy Gobert, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Or you completely remake the roster of guys that are around him. And you get guys who can play defense, and you get guys who can attack the basket. Because this team is far too reliant on offense. On offense, they're far too reliant on the three, and they are just not good at all on defense.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth of it. By the way, a couple other things I want to mention in the NBA.
Yeah.
I need whatever LeBron's taken.
Dude.
I will just continue to say, I have never seen him play this well.
Lidocaine and B12.
I guess whatever it is.
Get some, bro. Get some.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, I mean,
He
dude's
is
playing out of his mind. I mean, what is he, 36,
59?
35? I mean, whatever his age is, mid-30s, and just proving a point. And I think that, obviously, Father Time is undefeated, but LeBron's relationship with Father Time is pretty damn good right now, I'd say. And I think that, he's out here to prove that he hasn't fallen off, and that all the nonsense about, the Lakers are just not a good team and LeBron can't carry the team anymore and all that. I genuinely believe that LeBron is on a mission to prove a point. And I love to see that. And no matter where you come down on the LeBron, Kobe, Jordan conversation,
Yes.
that doesn't matter right now. That's just not relevant to where LeBron is at. Frankly, in my opinion, what's more relevant is saying, hey, we need to enjoy this guy while he's still in the league. We need to appreciate
Yes.
what he's able to do while he's still in the league. Because if you think about it, and I don't mean to scare NBA fans, but if we get out of Jazz land for a minute and we get into just general NBA land for a minute, you're talking about the greatest shooter of all time in Stephen Curry, one of the best scorers, just pure polished, straight-up killers on the offensive end in Kevin Durant, one of the greatest of all time in every area in LeBron James, all being on the back end of their career right now. We need to understand and appreciate that, dude.
Is Kevin Durant?
Yes, he's on the back end of his career.
I don't think so. I think he's on the peak at the peak of his career. You cannot continue to play him those minutes, which is why you're seeing them rest KD. I think he and Steph Curry are at the peaks. They are not on the backside of their career. I mean,
Wow.
guys are going to start playing into their late.
Dude, they're
30s.
They're not 27 anymore. That's my point. They're
right,
in their 30s.
But I don't even know how old Kevin Durant is. But a guy like Kevin Durant, to me,
I think he's early 30s. I think he's like 32.
I think a guy like Kevin Durant, he's 33. I think
33.
Kevin Durant plays until he's 40.
Wow.
I mean that is. I think that's.
But again,
what you're
that's his
seeing.
prerogative, right? Like, again, we don't know how long he's going to play. We don't know what he'll choose to do. And I think you have, like, right now, he's probably the best player in the league when he's playing at 100%.
Steph is also 33.
Right?
I mean, I look at, like James Harden is a guy that strikes me who's on the way down. He's also 32, about to be 33.
Right.
He strikes me as a guy that's on his way down.
How old is DeMar DeRozan?
DeMar DeRozan's got to be, I believe he's 34. I want to say he's 32, excuse me. He'll be 33. So, I mean, you're looking at guys. I mean, DeMar DeRozan's never played better basketball. He's at his peak.
Right.
KD's at his peak. Steph's at his peak.
Mm-hmm.
I think of that group. But I agree with you. It doesn't fucking matter. I agree with you. This is a golden era. These guys have now moved into the golden era of offense in the NBA.
Yeah.
This is the best offense we've ever seen. We've moved out of the reliance on the three-point shot. All of these guys that we've mentioned, LeBron, KD, Steph, Kyrie certainly is in
Harden.
that conversation. James Harden.
Paul George.
Well, I think Paul George, I've said for years, I think Paul George is the best mid-range player in the game. I mean, he's hurt. He's not playing now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think his mid-range game is lethal.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi just doesn't play a lot of basketball.
Yeah, I don't
So
know where Kawhi Leonard is,
He's
dude.
going to play longer. Well, they're not going to rush him back.
Yeah,
And I don't
wow.
think they should. I mean, you look at that win, that shot by Luke Kennard last night. I mean, they have,
Yeah.
and this is what I say about the what lacks for the Jazz. This is why the Clippers are so damn dangerous. They have mid-range guys that are role players. They have guys like, I mean, I don't have to tell a single Jazz fan about Terrence Mann, who, by the way, has gotten better, and because he's really low key and he plays for the Clippers.
Nobody
knows about him.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, when you look at the way that the Clippers won that game, if I look at the way that if I look at the way Milwaukee's winning games, I'm trying to think of the best teams. Obviously, the Suns. It goes without saying. I think you have two of the best mid-range players on the globe in Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Hey, you look at Damian Lillard in Portland. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, he may not I think he's one of the best guards we have in the game, but he hasn't won anything. But I think just pure entertainment value, he's a hell of a player.
Look at DeMar and Zach LaVine.
Yep.
Boy, that Alex Caruso injury is going to kill them.
Gnarly.
The Derrick Jones Jr. finger fracture is going to kill. They've had so many. They lead the league in minutes missed due to injury.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulls should be much better. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at guys in this league now. We've moved away from the 3-point for the win. I think you're seeing. Who'd you say the baseline fade? Oh man, I can't remember who you said.
Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay with that baseline jumper.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shot that wins you a championship these days.
Yeah.
And I think that it's no longer the 3-ball. The Jazz have not adjusted to that.
Yeah.
The Jazz don't play in the mid-range. They do not.
It's either at the rim or 3.
Donovan Mitchell has the ability, but I think Don's fallen in love with the 5 feet behind the 3-point line shot. And if he will learn that baseline, top of the key, just inside the arc pull-up jumper, now Donovan Mitchell becomes a complete player, right? And by the way, that goes without saying that he has to get better defensively.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. All of that to say the Jazz have to remake their roster. Let's get some of your comments in here. It's killing me. Dude, I was over it yesterday. I did not cough very much at all. Slept great last night. And now here I am, a snot faucet, and I'm coughing.
Come on, man.
I just can't fucking get rid of this.
Yeah.
It is driving me crazy.
Never.
To be sitting here coughing and
it's
fighting a sneeze.
It's a pain in the ass.
It makes me crazy.
Yeah, dude. I'm with you.
God, dog. It makes me crazy. All right. If you're here right now, please give us a thumbs up. Please look at our affiliate links that are in the description of this video below. Jazzy, somebody asked me about my at-home COVID test that I took. I posted a picture of my at-home COVID test last week where I was negative.
The coronavirus.
That link to that COVID test is in the description of this podcast. If you're listening on audio podcast, it's in the description below. The YouTube, everybody on YouTube, it's in the description below. As are the link to our emergency that we take every day is in there. Our protein bars. By the way, if you're not a Prime member, I also posted an affiliate link because somebody asked me how Prime works. Right now, you can get 50% off of Amazon Prime through that link in the description of this podcast and on YouTube. Go check it out, man. It's $3.99 a month for Amazon Prime through that link. It is well worth your bread. Go and get it. Our affiliate links are always there. If there's a product you guys want and you want a discount or an affiliate link, just send me a DM on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. It's all The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. Eric Tavera says, good evening, boys. We're just having fried frogs for dinner.
You are not having fried frog. No, are you being serious right now?
My husband pulled out his special sauce, and the kids are excited. Okay, that's a crime in some countries. Eric and Raleigh says the Hall of Fame is a joke, Jake. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Eric is all pissed off.
He should be, but he's pissed off for the wrong reason. Tucker Brady says, morning, fellas. Keep fighting the good fight. Appreciate you, Tucker. Greg Hawkins, what's up?
Greg,
Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Bro, are you okay, Greg? Are you going to make it? You're on day 4 of no stream on your side of the thing. So what's going on here, dude?
Yeah, I know he's not feeling well. Good evening, everyone. Greg Hawkins says, Bradlark says, do you think Russ will listen to Shaq and slow his game down? I think he is. I mean, I think you're seeing him. Russell Westbrook has gotten away from, in the last 7 years, shooting off the bounce. And he's become a fast break player. And the reason his shot sucks so bad is because he has no fundamentals when he shoots.
Yeah.
Because usually he's not settled, he's not square, he's floating around.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing now, we saw it last night. The infamous tape that you have retweeted because you're a cock of him shooting air balls on bank shots.
Yeah.
Stop. You love retweeting that video.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook. I mean, it is amazing to me that this guy continues to be in the league and he can't shoot a basketball. It's incredible to me.
Well, apparently he can, because last night, if you noticed, he was a lot more efficient. He hit a bank shot. He hit a couple threes. His pull-up game was pretty good last night, and it's because he's gathering himself, dribbling, and then getting off the bounce into a jump shot. That's called NBA basketball. So we'll see. Yeah, I do think Brylarkey's going to do that. Devera says, heard a rumor Sixers trade Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins. That's a tough trade, and I don't think it's feasible. I think Robert Kuminga is a critical player for the Golden State Warriors. And what's so funny to me is, and I don't know if people just don't watch the Warriors. I don't know. But every time Kuminga steps on the floor, it seems like there's some spectacular highlight.
Yes.
He dunked all over the Dallas Mavericks last night.
Yeah.
Robert Kuminga is going to be in the future, not right now, going to be a star in this league.
I think you're mixing up some names here, kid. Isn't it Jonathan Kuminga?
Jonathan Kuminga. God. My bad. Jonathan Kuminga for the Golden State Warriors is going to be a stud.
Yeah.
He's not right now, but every time Jonathan Kuminga steps on the floor, it seems like there's some crazy highlight.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hell of a player already, and he's got a lot of development needed, but,
So the idea that he's not a trade chip for Golden State is ridiculous. And anybody that thinks that Jonathan Kuminga doesn't have trade value just doesn't know the NBA. Like, he has got legit trade. This is the Wiseman discussion. I think Jonathan Kuminga's trade value is extremely high right now. I think James Wiseman's issue is people don't believe he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the issue. So his trade value is lower. But what are we talking about? The Golden State Warriors, arguably the best team in the Western Conference, the Suns or the Warriors, has all kinds of trade chips. They have all kinds of guys they can move and leverage to bring in more talent. They're going to trade Andrew Wiggins, in my opinion.
And by the way, if they didn't make another trade for the rest of the year and next year and for the next foreseeable future, they have the next round of championship caliber talent on their roster.
They're probably going to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing they don't go to the finals this year.
Yeah.
The Western Conference Finals. I think they listen. You look at what Jonathan Kuminga brings as a package. His arms are as long as you're tall. I mean, he's got incredible length. And the thing that you need in the NBA, and I think we saw this with Mo Bamba the other night.
Did we?
Yeah, where he dribbled one time from half court and dunked the basketball.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
It was incredible. He took one dribble and dunked the basketball from half court. You're looking at that. That's today's NBA player. By the way, what does Mo Bamba do? Mo Bamba can shoot a little bit. Jonathan Kuminga can shoot. James Wiseman can certainly shoot. But he can also play at the rim. He can play in the paint. He can play in the mid-range.
Yeah.
Look at Carmelo Anthony last night. Carmelo Anthony is what LeBron James has done for Carmelo Anthony is he's developed him. Even at this old age, he's put new stripes on the Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
That turnaround fadeaway to the opposite hand, it's the Kobe fadeaway. It's the Michael Jordan fadeaway. Anybody notice Carmelo Anthony break that out last night?
Yep.
Anybody notice how wet that three was last night? Like, that's why I'm telling you, the Lakers have trade chips. The Warriors have trade chips. The Suns have trade chips. The Jazz do not.
Yeah.
So just be ready for that. Bad teams need expiring contracts to get off bad long-term deals, Brandon Whiteside says. Yeah, and I think that's why Joe Ingles is so critical. But here's the problem. If you're the Jazz, is there more value in letting Joe Ingles' contract expire so that you have that contract space? Or is there more value in trading him as part of a larger deal to somebody that will benefit from his expiring contract? It's a real conversation. It's a tough decision to be made.
Yeah.
And it is, right now, it's what's holding up the Lakers. This Russell Westbrook deal is a noose around their neck. Like, it is.
They need the Rockets to dance with him.
Russell Westbrook is that weight that you're just trying to carry around. Like, it is so difficult to trade Russell Westbrook because of that contract. It's Rudy Gobert. I mean, Rudy Gobert's a hell of a player. Not for $200 million and $41 million a year. I mean, he is an absolute burden because of that salary.
Yeah.
Russ is a burden because of that salary. And it is, I mean, that every time you try to make a trade and you're trying to compete in philosophically anyways, you're trying to compete for a championship, it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter around your neck because you can't the Utah Jazz can't pay the luxury tax on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. The Brooklyn Nets, sure, go ahead, be an egregious tax repeat offender. They have the money to do that. They have Barclays Center, they have Brooklyn, they have branding, they have market size, TV, third tier.
They have James Harden's going to leave the team this offseason. They know what's coming.
The Jazz don't have any of that.
Yeah.
You can't pay the luxury tax.
Yeah.
So my point is that's the difficult part. Jared Butler takes shoot me now. Jared Butler may take some time for him to grow. It's a project. That's why I don't understand why the Jazz are doing what they're doing with him. If you are not going to play him with the big club, send him down to the Stars. Like, let's get the kid some minutes so that he can refine his tools, so that he becomes a better, more instinctual defender.
Yeah. Because
right now, just sitting up here playing some minutes, and then you go 2 weeks without being in a game, that's not going to make you a better player. It's not. Cody Strickland says, screw them. I'm not attached to anyone. Wow, really? JC is the, wow, comment dump. JC is the new Westbrook on shooting. Joe basketball time is up. Whiteside looked like he didn't even want to play. That was really disappointing. I'm glad you brought that up, Cody. I was really disappointed in Hassan Whiteside the other night.
Yeah.
No, you're the starting center on the Utah Jazz right now. No want to, no effort, no desire.
Yeah, he may be better as a bench guy.
Nothing.
Maybe that's better for him mentally,
Maybe.
you know?
Maybe. I would never start him again. I wouldn't. Does Quinn feel Eric is slow? I don't know. I mean, Eric Paschall's a guy that's got, in my opinion, I don't think he's slow.
I think Quinn Snyder has an idea about what this team should be when it's at full strength. And he's not going to go away from that. And that's what makes him great, but also can be his worst enemy. You know, he wants ball movement and a lot of threes a game. And that's what he thinks is a winning formula for the current roster. And I respect that. But, you know, again, you know, we can go round and round about these guys and everything. But I think that the place I always come to with the Jazz is you're in the worst spot you can be in sports, which is just simply you're good enough to be a postseason team, but you're not good enough to be a championship team. So you're not going to be high in the draft, you know, but you don't have any draft capital anyway. You know, you don't have a ton of tradable chips right now. Like, you're just in this spot. And so, you know, yeah, they should be developing the young guys, but they're not for whatever reason.
But that's the issue. You're not going to have access to a guy like a Chet Holmgren or a Jabari Smith, the kid from Auburn.
You're going to have to trade. You're going to have to continue to trade and do bad trades to move up and do things. And that's not – I don't know that Danny Ainge is willing.
Yeah, I think you would love to have like a Ty Washington or – I mean,
you need – like, this team could really use the Chet Holmgrens of the world, you know? Like,
but you for me anyway. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, I look at a guy like the kid in the G League, oh my God, Marjan Beauchamp with the Ignite. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know.
Marjan Beauchamp with the Ignite. He's a Chris Brickley guy. You would love to draft that kid. He's probably going to go 10 to 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
But you would love to draft that kid, but you don't have access to that kid because you legit you don't have draft capital.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you're forget it. You get my point.
Yeah. You're
not going to get younger and better through the draft.
And here we are back in the vicious cycle of back to the top.
Do you even lift?
Yeah.
Ryan Buckley says, morning, guys. What's up, bud? Good to see you. Austin Lewis says, morning, guys. Update on your bidet acquisition. We haven't yet.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about the bidet.
We have not acquired a bidet yet.
Never.
I'm holding on to my pennies right now. I mean, you buy a piece of real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to chill for a while.
Well, and the funny thing is, and we'll talk about it at the end of the show. Neville93 says, good morning, guys. Sup, Mobamba? For real, guys, who's going to the finals? Well,
shout to Mobamba.
I don't know how you don't look at – I think Milwaukee's the best team in the East. I hate to say that because I am not a Milwaukee Bucks fan.
Yeah.
In the West, I don't know. Memphis is capable of beating anybody in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I think Memphis is a team that's really talented, and I think they'll beat your lower end teams. But the question is going to be, can they execute and play good enough half court basketball against the best teams in the league to beat them? And I think they're capable for sure. But in the postseason, on the road, in a hostile environment, mentally challenging, are they ready to do that? I think is the question.
Faison Fitz says Jaden Hardy is the best G League player. You're an idiot. Okay, well,
You're casual.
Jaden Hardy is, I believe, 20 years old or about to be 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I look at Marjan Beauchamp, I think Marjan's 21. And I should look up, I think it's Dyson Daniels is their point guard. Dyson Daniels may be the best one, but he's only like 18.
Yeah, the point is, listen, man, we don't need to have some.
I don't know that I'm an idiot because I don't know every player on the G League Ignite's top end potential.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, if you want to spend all your time covering the G League Ignite, more power to you. That's not the conversation we're having, dude. And by the way, if you want to come into the comments and call people idiots, great. I literally don't care. The point really is just that the Jazz need more talent. They need more younger talent. That's the point.
Funky Orion says, bring water with you. I have it right here. I have my non-carbo Rockstar Recovery right here.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
He says, is it possible that the Jazz already know the issue, but they couldn't do much about it? Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Eric and Raleigh says, Jonathan, thank you. Yep, Jonathan Kuminga has potential. Golden State developing him. Wiseman might be traded later. I don't know. Jonathan Kuminga, I would be really reticent to trade him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
really good. I mean,
the package that kid shows up with on a nightly basis is.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he's very difficult to deal with. He is, absolutely. The Jazz are beginning a 5-year rebuild, Eric and Raleigh says. There's no such thing in the NBA as a 5-year rebuild. If it's taken you 5 years to rebuild, you suck. And it's for a long time. And you're probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you look at the Philadelphia 76ers.
5 years is a long time, bro.
That's too long.
That's
Can't
a
do
long
that.
time.
The new piece of real estate should have a bidet, Greg Hawkins says.
Bro, come on, dude.
There you go. Kelsey Hamer says, good morning, broski. What's up? Good to see you. The Jazz are in their third 5-year rebuild. Yeah, they are. They always are in a 5-year
Yeah, we
rebuild.
get it.
That's why, the thing on the Jazz real quick is I just don't think that you should, with Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith, I don't think you should believe that they're going to do business the same way it's always been done. You don't.
Why did you bring him in if you're just going to keep doing what Dennis Lindsey did? If you're just going to keep signing $40 million contracts to players who don't deserve that.
Did you really call him Robert? Yes, I did. Excuse me,
dude.
I misspoke.
Things happen.
God, dog.
Damn, why are you guys so salty this morning, man?
I'm cracked out on Dayquil, and you're giving me. I was talking about, for those of you just tuning in, I was talking about Robert Covington quite a bit, and I said Robert Kuminga instead of Jonathan.
You're a stupid son of a bitch.
I am a stupid son of a bitch, Joe. Thanks. Thank you. The Jazz are done. The Jazz are a Drew. Liberty Returns says. Tyler P says the Jazz are just being the Jazz. They are the definition of mediocre.
They are.
Eric and Raleigh says it's going to take 5 years to get out from under the bad contracts. Telling you, this Rudy Gobert contract is a real problem. It's a real problem. CJ So Cool Jr.
Nice name.
Okay. Says Covington, hell no, too old. We do not need another player over 30. Quinn hates Pascal. Trade Ingles, first, second pick. We need a coach who going to develop in discipline and have movement. I would agree with that.
Yes.
Run some offense, please.
Yeah, they don't run offense ever.
Run some offense. Liberty Return says the Jazz are a Drew Holiday away from the finals.
Drew Holiday instead of Mike Conley makes them a better team. There's no doubt about that.
Does it? Why?
Because Drew Holiday can play defense, and Mike Conley is not what he used to be defensively. And also,
Okay.
I think Conley.
There's value in that.
I think Mike Conley. I mean, he has shot it well this year, but I again, you just have a bunch of guys on this team, and I'm almost like burned out on saying this, but you have like a bunch of guys on this team who are used to bees, and the guys that are here now are not good enough.
Used to bees.
They are.
Wow.
They are. Joe Ingles is a used to be. Mike Conley was an all-star at one point or whatever. He was really good.
Isn't my like vocal cords it used to be?
Yes, your vocal cords are used to be, correct. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So anyway, the point is,
Thank you.
the point is that we can go round and round and we can look at all these examples, but at the end of the day, the Jazz have to be aggressive, and I just think that time is here.
What do you guys think about Shaden Sharp from? I don't want to get into draft prospects.
No, we're not doing that, dude.
Not yet. Please, just let's get to the playoffs first. It's my fault. I shouldn't have brought him up.
Yeah, why do you bring up the G League?
Because I was reading a bunch of shit on Sunday night while I was laying in bed, getting ready to sleep on 0G and reading about draft prospects.
Okay, good.
I'm an idiot. Drew Holiday or Marcus Smart for Mike Conley. Which would you prefer? Well, Marcus.
Yeah, casual.
God, dog.